So my name's Dr. Stephanie Trent. I am based at the Telethon Kids Institute in Perth, and I'm also the MSWA Research Fellow at Parent Institute for Neurological and Translational Science. Before I started doing my PhD, I worked in a pathology laboratory, studying samples and looking for bacteria. And I also worked as a clinical trials coordinator in a busy oncology hospital clinic. So I find it really motivating having met some of the participants in our clinical trials that have multiple sclerosis and just learning about their life experiences. And that's really helps to drive me to know that what I'm doing is important and worthwhile, and that at the end of the line there's a person there whose life is going to be hopefully affected by what we're doing. So that's really motivating for me. So I was attracted to studying multiple sclerosis by the work of my former employer, Professor Prue Hart, who was doing a study looking at an intervention for people who had the first signs of multiple sclerosis. What we were doing was giving a therapy to people who had the first signs of MS, where they would stand in a box that's designed to deliver UV light to the body, and this is used to treat people who have psoriasis already. So it's quite an established treatment. When they were running this clinical trial, I joined the team, and I've never sort of looked back because it's been really great to work in the field of studying multiple sclerosis since then. Working in the field of multiple sclerosis research, there's just so much going on, and there's so many wonderful researchers already working in the field that, I feel like so often there's new breakthroughs coming through. We're living in an exciting time where there's new therapies coming out that can really help us to understand some of the mechanisms behind what causes the disease. That's what I'm really passionate about, is finding out what happens at the beginning of the disease that perhaps we can try to prevent it in future. Our work that's being funded by MS Australia for this year is investigating the role of an immune cell known as the neutrophil in early multiple sclerosis. The reason that we're interested in this cell is we have done some previous work that's also been funded by MS Australia, looking at other immune cells in people with MS, B cells. And these cells can be activated by proteins produced by neutrophils. But there's not very much information available about what neutrophils are doing in people that have early multiple sclerosis. So the study that we're doing this year is collecting data on people who have just been diagnosed with MS and looking at the neutrophils and the B cells in their blood at the same time, and trying to see whether there's any relationship between the types of neutrophils and B cells that are present and what proteins they're making and what they're doing. So this will give us an insight into whether what we've already observed in B cells is associated with what's happening beforehand in neutrophils. So I'd love to say thank you to all the donors and fundraisers who have given their time to support MS research in Australia, because you're really the ones that are making all this possible, and alongside the participants in our studies, without all these wonderful people donating their time and efforts, we wouldn't be able to do what we do.